Welcome to a new episode of Circus Talks. Today we're going to talk with Caroline Marshall Foster. I think a woman who doesn't need an introduction. Most of the people already know her. We're going to talk about the flower industry all over the world because she's traveling a lot. She's the eyes and ears of the floral industry. I read somewhere. So let's get Caroline in. If you have any questions for her, feel free to ask them or put them in the comments, and then we can answer them. Welcome.
Hi,
How are you?
I'm fine. I'm terribly nervous. This is my very, very first ever Facebook Live. I'm sort of thinking, oh my gosh, And of course, one's having a really bad hair day because I haven't been to the hairdresser for how many years. So it's sort of like, but I did put lipstick on.
Okay, yeah, I'm not putting lipstick on. I also have a bad hair day, so a bad hair year actually. So you should be okay.
We're not going to repeat what happened when my husband needed his haircut. So
No.
thank you for inviting me.
Yeah, thank you for joining Flower Circus Talks. I mean, I'm glad that people who have an opinion and have a lot of knowledge in this flower industry are joining this live stream.
I've been watching them. It's been absolutely fab. And I have to say hello to Karen and Amanda and Rachel. Hello. That's great to see some of my friends are. So we're looking at 3 people already. We know of.
Yeah.
That's fabulous. Yes. Sorry, I interrupted.
No, it's that was the meaning of the whole thing, to connect the flower industry all over the world, to learn from each other, especially in those difficult times. That's why we started this as Flower Circus, to get people involved, because we need to get through it.
It has been fascinating. As you know, I've watched quite a lot of them, and to hear all the stories from around the world, and to know that we are all in such similar places. This is not just UK or America or France. I mean, there are obviously differences because of certain things, different rules and regulations, but we're basically all in the same horrible situation, and together we are going to hopefully get through it, and that's the most important thing.
I think only together we can get out. Alone you can't get out anymore. I think the crisis is too big for that now.
No, this has to be everybody sharing and connecting and talking and being very open about things. We can't have, one of my Ecuadorians said, it's not a freaking contest as to who's better or who's bigger or who wants the power. This is all about, he needs the florist in England to be as successful as the Colombian grower does or the grower does. We are all in this together, and that's, my years of traveling have been absolutely fabulous to be able to talk to so many people and get ideas from all over the place to help, obviously, my readers, but maybe help them as well.
Yeah, because you're talking now about your readers.
My readers?
Yeah, because
I is this where I do this is okay. I own Florist Trade Magazine. It was founded in 1949, not by me, I hasten to add, nor indeed my mum. It started life as florist and landscape gardener, and it was the only trade magazine in the UK, and still remains the biggest. And my mum bought it in 1966. She was a florist. My grandfather was a landscape gardener and grower and ran garden centres. And so mum bought it in 1966. She'd been a florist. She trained with Constance Spry. I'd grown up with flowers all my life. And on my 21st birthday, I joined the magazine, and I've been doing it ever since. And I'm not that old. Well, yes, actually, I am that old.
No, you're already 10 years in the with the magazine, right?
So we did print magazines up until 2013. Then we went digital, and we have the florist.co.uk, which is it's, I mean, you know, I'm biased, but it's packed with good stuff. And we did our last print edition in 2017, which was the 50th anniversary of my family owning it. And yeah, I mean, it's taken me all around the world, and as a company and as a person, I take the product from the point at which it's cut in the grower's fields, to the point at which it's sold, and all the points in between. So I've had the joy of working with literally every stage of the sector. And you know, my roots are obviously in retail floristry, pardon the pun, but you know, it's an amazing industry, and I still have, despite it all, I still think it is fabulous how a flower can convey so much emotion and achieve and create so much happiness, even at the saddest times. And you know, in the situation we are now, you know, flowers are really coming into their own.
I really like the message that the Colombians are sending out. We're always there for you with the flowers.
It's fabulous. And you know what the South Americans are doing, Colombia and Ecuador, because I was watching their videos, they're very much about how they're supporting, how they're there. And I think that has been so much better than those rather ghastly pictures of all the flowers being dumped, which I got very, I think that was one of the moments I cried. Because we didn't need to be reminded just how awful it was. I mean, that Friday the 13th, you know, I mean, it was just, you know, I never thought I would see the auction crash. You know, it just wasn't something you expected. But to see all those flowers being dumped, I don't think really helped, because it just, I think, gave out the wrong message. And the message we put out about our industry is going to be so important. It's not about, look how much we're losing, because all sectors are losing. You know, everybody is hurting on this. What we need to do is push the benefits of our product and how we can help people and what our product can do, not just show thousands of stems all wrapped up in plastic. I mean, you know, it just was so wrong. But I love what Colombia and Ecuador are doing. Really, really strong emotional messages, and that's what we need to keep doing.
That's what you see. That everybody started to well, not everybody, a few started to post that the auction crashed. What happened then is that everybody started sharing it, and not only for a few days, but even after 2-3 weeks, the same pictures were still on the internet. And what you saw then was a change of mentality, that people said, okay, but look at the hospitals, this is much worse. So it almost kicked back in our faces, like, look, this is much worse.
Yeah. Well, that's why I think I'm glad that, you know, there was the only place that I do think that it has worked is on the Bloomberg article, where it shows a Kenyan worker throwing flowers away. But it was done in context, you know, that was all done in the context of the flowers being destroyed is destroying a person's life. Because, you know, the import sector, be it Kenya, be it Colombia, be it Ecuador, be it Costa Rica, be it India, you know, these are places where the flower industry, and of course I must mention Ethiopia and, you know, all the countries, these are places where flowers have given a quality of life to people who would have had nothing if they didn't have the flower industry, and of course fruit and vegetables. But the power of flowers is literally from the point at which it grows. And having met, I think you've got a picture of them, having met people who work on the farms,
Yeah.
I know what a difference it makes. So there it was a strong, oh, there's my horse.
Yeah.
The horse didn't want to talk to me. That's a farm in Colombia. I was out there last October, and yes, he was obviously very much in love with his carer, the
Yeah.
gentleman who looked after him. Because I went to stroke him and he sort of shied away. It was sort of like, right, okay, I'm obviously not a horse person.
Yeah.
And that's Lady. She's called Lady. She works in a foliage farm in Colombia, and she had just given birth. She was just returned, and she was given special facilities as a nursing mother. And then at the bottom, that's Grace, who works in Kenya.
Yeah.
And she has been able to educate her children as a result of her job on the farms. So all these people who are part of a support program that growers put in place, and I have to say, probably better than some European growers.
Yeah.
She says, sort of slightly, where's my flak jacket? The impact that this has on them is huge, and a lot of them are working for nothing because they don't have the benefits that we have
Yeah.
in the West. And, in the UK, we've been incredibly lucky. I mean, our government, God help us afterwards, but, our sort of rescue packages have been phenomenal.
Yeah.
Not everybody's got everything, but, but these guys,
Yeah.
they haven't got that. They're working for nothing to hold farms into a holding position because they want to have work when we come out of this.
Yeah. What you see as well, that the government over there, they see it as well, that they are supporting the people, that they are creating jobs for those people. That's why in Ecuador, in Colombia, in Kenya, it's seen as an essential, the flower industry. So they still can work. Of course, there are certain regulations, but they are still allowed to work, which other industries, there isn't.
No, I mean, it's great because Circus Florist have just issued their statement of what the plans are for, because obviously with American Mother's Day coming up, I mean, that is a huge, huge market for South America. And they're going to be working Labor Day. They're going to be working Sundays. They have dispensations for their certification. They've got extra security staff on at El Dorado so that there's no schnuckiness going on. They are doing everything they can, and I heard that because the States, they went into lockdown, but not every state is the same. They are now having to prepare for a Mother's Day. We were incredibly lucky in England that we got our Mother's Day.
Yeah.
And, it was a bit fraught. I did feel at one point that we were carrying the whole flower industry on our shoulders.
Yeah.
Were we going to get flowers? Were we going to be shut down? Florists had ordered and had no idea if they were going to get customers. As it turned out, for many, it was phenomenal, considering all the circumstances.
Yeah, we had an interview last week or 2 weeks ago, I think, with Flower Vision and Nikki Meeder. They also, it was the most stressful period they ever had in their working life, because nobody knew what was happening, what's going to be tomorrow, or even within a couple of hours.
No, I mean, we were literally hour by hour. Would it be today? Because we got to Friday, because you sort of thought, oh my gosh, is he going to do it on Friday and give us all the weekend to think about it? And then bless him, I know some people have sent Boris some flowers, but thank you very much, Boris, for at least waiting till Monday.
Yeah.
It's not good, but the timing was best for us.
Yeah, and then everybody in Holland saw it as well, that at least we've got the English Mother's Day coming up, because all the other markets were already closed or closing down.
Yeah. Well, I mean, France and Italy and Germany, and then you have all the sort of differences of, like in Germany, some regions have allowed flower shops, some regions haven't.
Yeah.
I heard half an hour ago before we went live, Illinois has just said flowers are allowed. I mean, that's a huge state
Yeah.
to, my American wholesalers are now saying, "Oh my God, Illinois is open! It's open!"
Yeah, but that's the way how it works.
Yeah, and
Oh,
the state. I mean, for the state florists, I think they in some ways can learn from the rest of us
yeah.
as to how. Oh, hello, Costa. Mother's orders for Columbia in Australia. Yep, good,
Yeah.
good. Um, it's they can learn from us, but also I have to credit Society of American Florists have been absolutely brilliant
Yeah.
in terms of their webinars and the information. So kudos to Kate Penn and her team. And I really hope the American market can make it happen.
Yeah. Because we see a lot of initiatives all over the world. In Holland, the Dutch Flower Council has the Let Hope Bloom. We saw some other initiatives. We see it actually all over the world.
Mm-hmm.
How do you look at those initiatives?
I think as long as it doesn't show dumped flowers, any message is good. Ideally, one would have a global campaign, but I think that is unlikely ever to happen because there are too many politics involved, and also people have their own brands. I mean, I also own something called Good Florist Guide, which is a mark of quality. It's it started life as Master Florist and it moved into Good Florist Guide because it is effectively, as one of my members calls it, it's like the Michelin guide to florists. And, it's small and, it could be bigger. And when I'm doing something else, I will. But we have our own branding. So obviously we want to put out a message, but it needs to carry our branding. And the same with, the Porta Nova, Say It With Flowers project that's just happened, just been launched. The American Floral Council, they did the Flower Power, which was very strong, so lots of people have campaigns. I think what it should be is that we all send out the same message, that it is flowers are good for you, plants are good for you, and scientifically proven to make you happy and feel better. So
and it wasn't just one study. I think it's hundreds of studies that are proving that flowers and plants are good for you.
Absolutely. I am that sad soul who saw Dr. Wolfson back in 1989 present his first paper at on behalf of NASA. And I do still have the paper report that he issued. And then, of course, Rutgers came in and Harvard came in, and the evidence, the scientific backing that we have to this message is huge. Absolutely huge, and it is not one that, and I think in some ways it really has taken off quite a lot in the last sort of 18 months, especially amongst millennials, which is why plants are so important at the moment. Florists are doing a lot of business with plants, I understand, because certainly younger people have realized and have latched on to this sort of thinking that a plant in my house is going to be good for my soul and my psyche and my well-being. I mean, my eldest daughter, you can't move in her flat for plants. Hundreds of the things. I have two.
Yeah.
Spathiphyllums, very good for the ions off my computers.
Yeah, I know. I also read or wrote an article, and said, people are spending millions of dollars on gyms. If whether they go or not, that's something different. Bless you. Uh, they are spending a lot of money on healthy food,
Mm-hmm.
but we forget to tell that if you have a plant in your room or in your house or a bunch of flowers, it helps your health as well enormously, and for a very affordable price. Going to the gym is more expensive.
Yeah, much cheaper than a gym membership. You know, a
Yeah,
monthly or a fortnightly subscription to a beautiful mixed collection of flowers from a local florist, of course, because I
yeah,
do advocate local florists all the time. And I think for the future, it might be interesting, or it will be interesting to see if the shop local concept, which has developed during coronavirus buying,
yeah,
shopping, continues, because I really hope that the fact people haven't been able to go to big supermarkets or wherever will encourage them to think, yes, I'm going to use my local florist. And certainly local florists need to really consolidate. Even if they're not operational, they need to consolidate on their local presence and
yeah,
communicate
yeah,
extensively to say, whether they can deliver flowers or not, they still need to connect with their local community.
yeah. Yeah, you see a lot of nice initiatives as well from local florists. I mean, I heard a florist who was just hiding flowers in a park or on a street, so people, if they found them, they saw that it was a gift.
Yeah.
It was really nice.
The Lonely Bouquet campaign, which Emily started years ago, but which, normally happens, I think it's last Sunday of June, or yeah, I can't remember. But yeah, I mean, that's a concept that can be easily used, and use it to get publicity in your local paper, on your local radio station.
Yeah,
The using flowers to make people smile message is very important, and as I say, whether you're operational from behind closed doors or not, you can still do that. You can still
yeah,
do a lot of things to make sure that people know that you're still there. We have one
yeah,
florist, one of our members, who's been doing virtual bouquets. He hasn't opened,
yeah,
but he has been sending out newsletters to his client base, and he offered them virtual bouquets whereby he would send a message to the person with a picture of a beautiful bouquet, and the customers absolutely loved it because he did it for free. It was
yeah,
a gesture of kindness which people really appreciated.
yeah. And I mean, we've got a lot of ideas now. We're getting creative now with this crisis, so we can come up with a lot of things. I think to still be on top of people's minds.
Yeah.
We've got Facebook, we've got Instagram, we've got lots of ways to reach out to the people. Costa is saying the winners out of this will be the independents and the delivery services. Do you agree on that one?
What does he mean by delivery services?
Costa, what do you mean by delivery service? Can you please write it down?
I want a proper question. I need to
Yeah.
have. I'm an old woman now. I need to have things in words of one syllable.
You're saying that you're an old woman, but where is it? I will show it as well.
God,
They,
what is
they
that?
they say you look great, looking lush. Look.
Thank you, dear heart. And I didn't pay her to say that, so that's very kind of you. She
Okay.
ran 10K today.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, Cara did 10K today. And I'm very impressed. I went on a 4-hour bike ride yesterday around London.
I actually love all the pictures, and for the people who haven't seen it, check out her Facebook page. You're driving around or bicycling
No,
around London, cycling through London, but there's nobody there.
I mean, it is incredible to cycle into town, and the first time I did it, it was to actually go up to St Thomas's Hospital to see the installation. I sent you a picture of it,
Yeah,
and I managed to turn left rather than right, and I ended up at St Paul's Cathedral in Paternoster Square, which is normally absolutely heaving. It's where, I don't know if you ever watched First Dates in England, but so I was standing in the middle of Paternoster Square on my own, and I confess I just burst into tears. I just thought, oh my God, this is just so Spooksville. But then, so I went up to St Thomas's Hospital, which is where our Prime Minister was looked after,
Yeah.
and the girls from Early Hours had made that installation, and it's all in silk.
Yeah.
And I Heart NHS, and it is just absolutely amazing. And they've now done another one at UCL, and you know, they're event florists, and nobody talks about the event florists. Event florists have been completely stymied by this. The hospitality sector was the first to go down,
Yeah.
and will probably be the last to open again.
Yeah.
And because social distancing is going to go on for a long old time, and so the event florists have no opportunities. So what the girls did was think, well, how can we keep our name out there? How can
Yeah.
we do things? So these installations are getting them huge amounts of publicity, which is great. Yeah, there's Latoya and Lizzie, and working on their pieces, and they did the whole thing. I mean, basically each letter was made by a member of staff, and then it was taken in and installed, and everything had to be done at 2-meter distances. I mean,
Yeah.
those are two separate pictures that I've
Yeah.
joined together. So they were apart, and so this is their way of keeping their name out there. And but other event florists, so like Emma Soulsby,
Yeah.
and she is, I mean, beautiful weddings, absolutely stunning, and you know, just saw the whole lot disappear
Yeah.
with no absolute. And you know, for wholesalers and growers to see the event market go, you know, in places like Covent Garden, that's pretty much who they serve.
Yeah.
So it just decimates them. But what Emma did was, and I haven't spoken to her, but I followed her, and had Van,
Yeah.
Newmarket, and today appeared in the Daily Telegraph, one of our biggest selling newspapers, as one of the most innovative operations, because she went from doing big lush weddings, and she now does food hampers and
Yeah.
fruit and veg, and what's it called, marvelous marries, and obviously she's putting some flowers in as well. And it has been storming, and watching her, I mean, literally she built her website, her new website I think was built in about 48 hours, and
Wow.
you know, she just went for it, and you know,
Yeah.
go Emma. I thought, wow,
Yeah.
that's taking total initiative.
Yeah. You have to. I mean, like you said, the event business, it's not gonna start up soon. It's
No,
not the first one to start up. So it's
sadly not.
something. Yeah.
And I say sadly not because my husband's in that business. So between us, we're not doing well here.
Yeah. So you will have them around you for for a long time at home.
I've got him downstairs, daughter behind me. Just as well we have a very, very strong internet.
Yeah. Actually, I think you need to do some more bicycle rides because we need daily London photos.
Of course.
Love my virtual London tour. And I think Karen regrets running because
So do mine after yesterday. No, I mean the London tours are great,
yeah,
and I think it's, you know, the place I went to yesterday. I haven't done the story. There was a purpose in it, and it will appear on the florist.co.uk. And I went to meet somebody who was doing something. And that's all I can say, because otherwise I'll have to kill you.
So we have to check it out.
Yeah, that will be next week.
Yeah. Okay. Kostas, he has the question worked out now. Only it's that long. I will read it. Do you think this will impact the big five in the UK market, with the fact that large retailers have suffered shortages and independents still have been able to offer product and been able to improvise with by offering produce? So the big five. I only know the big five in Africa. So I'm quite curious. What's the big five in England?
No, the big five are the supermarkets. So say
Okay.
will it impact them? I don't think. I think, to be honest, they've made so much money from loo rolls. It's sort of. I don't think it will impact them. I think, as with everybody, there will be a lot of thought going on as to what people do after we are through the initial stages. And for many people, I think that this has been a very cathartic time, that they have been forced to stop. Well, not they didn't have to stop, but they chose to stop and think. And not everybody is going to be a survivor. The reality is we are going to see losses, and some quite big losses, I suspect, at all levels. We already know of wholesalers in the States who have called it a day. Sadly, I suspect some growers will not make it, and I don't think some florists will make it. I think some retail florists all over the world. I mean, this is not UK concentric. This is just everywhere. And for some people, I think this has been a time to assess where they're going, what they want out of life, how they're going to run their businesses when they get back, how they could run their businesses when they get back. Because until we know what is going to happen, it's very hard. I have my crystal ball. Sadly, it doesn't tell me what I want to know.
I think you have to bring it back to the shop then and buy a new one.
It's an IKEA geriatric paperweight. Look, I thought that was pretty good improvisation, considering the and in corporate colours, purple. I think that there will be a lot of changes in the sector, and some for the good, some for the not so good. Staffing levels will not, I suspect, be what they were, because they're literally there will either not be the business, or bosses will think, I have to be more ruthless. There will be no fat on the bone at all. We will not be able to support any slackness or any waste, overstuffing, which is my absolute beef. We've just redone our whole never mind the flowers, what about the profit article, because too many people don't cost properly. And so I think there's going to have to be a really close look at everything people do in their businesses if they want to be a survivor, or they've got to say, actually, you know what, I can't do this anymore. And that's going to be tough. That's going to be really tough.
But it's a good time when you're at home, you close your business, okay, look at it, you've got the time for it now. Look around, what initiatives do you see popping up? 2 days ago, I spoke with somebody from Russia who has 2 wholesales. He said, I'm thriving. I took the risk of bringing in flowers. And while my competitors were closed, I got all their customers in because they wanted to start again. He also said some of the competitors already stopped. I'm hiring new staff because I've got new customers. And also the way of how he is trading is totally different than the old-fashioned way. That's why he is standing out in Russia at the moment.
He's all on. Is that April?
Yeah.
Yeah. He's all online, isn't he?
Yeah.
Yeah. So it is. I mean, the digital market has really, for him taken off, and I think. I mean, the thing is, and I was watching Peter. I always used to buy from markets, and there is something really. Yes, you can order certain products.
Yeah.
And say, right, I want 20 bunches of avalanche because you know that it's going to be. You don't have to look at
The
everything.
same. Yeah.
But if you want to have those more unusual things, I do think there is a need for a touchy-feely experience.
Yeah. But that's also a good question for the florist. How are you going to stand out online? How are you going to show your style? How are you going to show your bouquets that they're different than from the big five?
I think, yes, because we haven't actually answered Costa's question. Okay, going back to Costa's question, do I think the big five will suffer? No, but I do think perhaps they might rethink as to whether flowers are worth their while. And I mean, the square footage, at the beginning of all of this,
Yeah.
flowers were being cut big time in the supermarkets. And I hope that florists have and will be able to take advantage of that. And I still see. I mean, I haven't been to many supermarkets because technically I'm not supposed to. But the few I have, they have had reduced levels of flowers. And I feel particularly sorry for the British growers on that one, because I think some of them took a real hit when this all kicked off, and orders were just slashed. And that's business you'll never get back. We're not like, I read the stories about the fashion houses and things, oh, they've cancelled orders and things. So we'll be wearing this year's fashion next year. It's not like, we'll just have skipped a season. They can hold their product. We can't hold our product.
No, that's true.
Once it's gone, it's gone. And apart from, soft fruits and soft vegetables, a lot of vegetables and fruit can actually be stored for an awfully long time. We don't have that luxury. So I think maybe they will look twice at what they do. They may reconsider the viability. I don't know. What does Costa think? Because I mean, he's serving that market.
Yeah. Well, I can tell a bit about the Dutch market. One of the bigger supermarkets stopped supplying flowers because they first wanted to get food and, of course, toilet paper in.
Bloody toilet paper.
Yeah.
What's that all about? I just don't understand that.
The person who came up with the toilet paper is going to be a rich person, I think.
I mean, in all seriousness, it is actually a psychological thing, apparently. There is a psychological reason why everybody felt the need to have large quantities of the stuff.
But people get creative with it now as well. So that's a fun part. But one of the big supermarkets stopped for a week and a half. Others were still doing flowers. Sales were down, of course, because nobody mentioned or looked at the flowers, because food was the first thing on their mind. After a week and a half, the first supermarkets started to do an action or to do a promotion. They were selling 30 tulips for €5, out of which €1 went to charity. And after a week, they got back to the normal prices again. But Easter, they were up almost 50% in comparison to last year, not in comparison to a week before. So they've got a big profit because most of the shops are not open in Holland. So people buy their stuff in the supermarket. So they sold a lot.
They managed to. I mean, we are behind you guys. We are still behind you. So, when I went into my local big Sainsbury's on Monday, the flower display was very thin. So maybe they because we are 2-3 weeks behind everybody.
Yeah, I don't know which one of the retailers it was, but I heard that they said, okay, food is the priority. We're not going to do any flowers for now unless our suppliers can arrange it themselves. So yeah, that's also you need to be creative then as well to get your flowers in.
Yes, because I mean logistics has been just as much a problem as anything. And I mean, this is where Kenya's having a big problem. That because flowers from so many countries are belly fillers. It's not like it's all special planes just to bring the flowers in. These are put on the same plane as the passengers. So the minute that the sort of passenger flights were cancelled, routes out were demolished. And then never mind all the transport and the vans and would drivers move and it's been a nightmare.
Yeah, I mean, and that's something, it's not only Kenya. I mean, they said, okay, the prices went up. Ethiopia, Ecuador, Colombia, Australia, they said the prices went up 5 to 10 times.
What, for freight?
For freight.
Yeah.
So there's really a difficult thing.
No, I mean, and there are horror stories all the way down the chain. It's nobody is safe on this. We've actually got lots of people now.
Yeah.
Hello, Helen, Karina, Sarah, Rita, Catherine. I can't see any further.
Amanda, Karen, Keely, Tony. We've got a lot of people, so that's good.
Marvelous. Hello.
So, how do you see the future florist?
Ooh.
How can he or she compete with the big five?
How do I see the future florist? Oh, I think leaner. I think they are going to have to really, really be out there with their marketing. Anybody that goes back to the old ways of sitting in their shop and waiting for somebody to walk in might as well not bother to open again. And that because they're going to have to fight for every sale. It's those who have a good established base, and I think bricks and mortar, hopefully bricks and mortar shops will survive best on this because they've had a presence and they have the bigger. But I think it's going to be hard, but it will be about marketing and it will be about making sure that every order is profitable. There will be no scope for any slack whatsoever. Every penny is going to count because at the moment, we are operating on effectively 2 days a week trading. Yes, there's funeral work, but in terms of the general work, most of the shops that are open, and we're sort of creeping up to about 50. We're about 40% of shops are operational, because I'm not going to call it open because no shop is open. They are operational. And I suspect that will increase as the weeks go by, as people become more confident of supply, because there are pockets of the UK that could not get flowers. There was nothing going into their areas. So even if they wanted to open, they couldn't have opened. But I think that, we are 2 days a week of normal trade at best, which percentage-wise is tiny. And, yes, each shop might be being very, very busy, but how the market is going to be, and that's because at the moment nobody can see each other. So flowers are proving a very useful. We've just done a Good Florist Guide posterette we go the extra mile when you can't, because there are, you know, these are messages that people can send to people that they can't get to see physically. Now, the question's going to be, what happens when lockdown is lifted, and in what way lockdown is lifted, and who's going to have a job at the end of it, and what the economic situation is going to be like. So, to be perfectly blunt, I can't answer the question, because I don't think anyone can, other than to say it is going to be the very savvy florist who knows their business inside out, understands those numbers to the last penny, is prepared to be ruthless with staffing when the shop becomes fully operational. And that's not to be beastly to staff, but, you know, in all companies, I fear that there will be redundancies. So it's, you know, my message to any florist who says, you know, what do you think I should do, Carrie? It's really assess your business. Know what your business was like, look at what it, and do scenarios, you know, think of, right, what would happen if I only had 50% of my turnover? How would I survive? Could I survive? And what would I need to do to survive? So it's about crunching the calculator. It's being really fine detail stuff, and then perfecting the social media, because you know, and that means having a good, you know, I mean, hark at me, I'm rubbish at it, but well, no, I'm not rubbish at Facebook. I'm you know, I have to get my act together on Instagram, but it is about doing videos. It's about and videos are far better in terms of interaction and feedback, and how you can use, you know, that 30 seconds or that 1.10 seconds to get a message across. So it's about, you know, we've just done a 55 things to do in lockdown, which ranges from everything from having a bath that lasts more than 5 minutes and lighting a candle and using up all those dreadful smellies that you got given for Christmas, to learning how to do videos. Because, you know, not everyone is happy being in front of a camera, and you know, it takes practice. I mean, I spent the whole morning worrying about my hair and my backdrop, you know. But it's been great, because it's forced me to do something, and actually it's fun.
And actually, next week we have a social media specialist joining the Flower Circus talk, so then you can learn more.
Who have you got?
It's actually no, you don't know her. It's Julia. Julia is doing a lot of my social media posts, and also for different growers. So, and she did this for insurance companies. She did it for a lot of companies all over the world. So she knows her thing. She knows what's in trend at the moment, and what's working and what isn't. Most important is also, like in normal life, be true to yourself. So if you don't like shooting small movies, do it with pictures, do it in another way, because your customers, if they physically come into your shop, they feel comfortable with the way how you are, especially when they keep returning to your business. So don't start shouting that you got special deliveries or things like that. Then you tell it on a normal way. So that
I mean, it has to be natural. But I equally think that, you know, there are skills that everybody should be learning, because it is what is going to be expected. And even if and also being out there now, you know, because who was hello Gail, who was I talking to? I mean, you know, people are bored rigid at home, so they are looking, you know, I mean, we've had 65,000 visits or views to our website, and I'm thinking, there aren't 65,000 florists out there. So who's looking at my website? And I mean, I'm really glad that they are, but oh, Peter, do you like Oh, well, assuming that, sorry, Peter and I do a picture every 2 years at
Yeah.
So he's now seen my Proflora 2021 frog. That assumes that they asked me back, but it's we did very silly things with a large-headed chrysanthemum at Proflora. I'll show you the picture one day.
Okay.
It's all right. We were pretending it was a microphone, nothing weird.
Okay.
So yeah, but I mean the video side is important.
Yeah, it's a combination of, and that's what if you do some advertising, you can do a lot of things on advertising on Facebook, on Instagram. Be careful with advertising. That's as far as I know, you can just blindly advertise, but you're not reaching out to your audience that you need.
No.
So it's really good to have a specialist who can tell you where to advertise, how to advertise, do things like that, because it's really it's like having a flower shop and no window or no door, so people don't know where to go in or to get into your flower shop. The internet, it's a big place. How can people find you? Can they find you if they just type flowers and your city or your can they find your flower shop? Those things you need to figure out.
Oh, absolutely. And can I just say to anybody who's watching, check out your Google My Business page,
Yeah.
because I picked this up from an American friend. Google had marked her down as closed because of COVID, and she wasn't closed.
That
So
happened. Yeah.
they had made a sort of blanket coverage thing. So everybody needs to go into their Google My Business page thing
Yeah.
and make sure that it is saying what it should say.
It happened actually in Holland as well. They just closed every flower shop on Google.
Yeah, I mean, it's crazy because not everyone is closed.
No, and it takes you quite a lot of time to get it reopened on Google again. So
Absolutely, and it was, so to anyone that's watching, if you haven't checked it, I did put a flash out on my Facebook pages, and I'll put it in my newsletter. But they are things are happening behind the scenes that you don't think to check.
yeah,
It's and going back to the social media, even as I said, even if you're not operational, you still need to get messages out there. You still need to make sure
yeah,
everybody knows that you're alive and kicking,
yeah.
because you don't want somebody else taking your customers away.
No, not for sure. For sure. I mean, and the people with a good social media account and with a good web shop in Holland, the florists, they are thriving. They having turnovers like a Mother's Day already for a month.
Yeah. I
So,
don't think the UK's reached those heady heights yet.
no, but like you said, we're a little bit in front of you. But it's nice to see that something good is coming up. Let's put it that way.
Yeah, I think, as I say, I think for the proactive, the survivors, I have hope for them.
Yeah,
I just don't want to. I mean, there is no way it is going to go back to how it was, and in many ways it shouldn't. It's not. I mean, okay, this is a pretty awful way for us to
yeah,
find this out. But I think as an industry, all industries will come out hopefully better for it.
yeah.
Painful, bruised, battered, and broke is how I'm describing it.
Yeah. Yeah,
Hello,
but
Ursula.
I think we're used of getting kicked around in the flower business. I mean, we're working with a product that's dying.
Yep.
We've got problems with quality. We've got There's always a problem, seems to be. So we will get over this as well.
It's a hard business.
Yeah.
And I mean,
It-
it's a completely barking mad industry in some ways. We put all our faith into something that is intrinsically dead on arrival.
yeah.
It's sort of like with tulips. They I mean, they were dead because
Yeah,
they've been cut. And as a sector, we do this and then say, yeah, we're just going to make a whole living out of this.
yeah.
You've got to be fairly masochistic, I think. Never mind all the hard work of, bucket cleaning or picking or whatever.
Yeah, but in the end, the smile you get back from all the customers once you give the flowers away, yeah, it's unforgettable.
Not give away, sell for a
Oh,
profit.
yeah.
Sorry.
Sorry. If you as a person, consumer, give away the flowers.
Yeah.
No, actually, what we used to do in a flower shop my uncle had, we just gave small broken flowers. If there was a child in the shop, the mother or the father bought a bouquet, we just gave the small flowers to the children.
Oh, nice idea.
It's just a small idea.
Yeah.
The children are always happy to come in, and people are also happy because the child is not crying anymore.
A floral dummy.
Yeah.
Did we answer Costa? Did we answer your question, Costa?
John is saying a great conversation. Again, a great conversation.
Good.
He,
Thank you, John.
yeah, again, he's saying because we had a conversation with John as well, so he thought that was a great conversation, probably as well.
Well, I'm glad that we're keeping up the standard, John.
Yeah. But with his, it was a very serious conversation. So with John.
Yeah,
Yeah.
well, we agreed we weren't going to do deadly serious.
No. I mean, we agreed this, make them smile.
Yeah. Make the smile, send flowers. Yeah, that's another of our little posterettes. I think that, and it is about making them smile, and the fact that what we do is just, totally agree, Yvonne. I mean, you never get over that whole when you deliver and the door opens, and okay, we're having to do it at sort of 2 meters distance, but
Yeah.
hopefully one's eyesight is good enough, and they see the bouquet, and they smile, and they always try to smell it, and
Yeah.
you sort of think, no, there's no smell.
It's getting back, actually.
Yeah,
The
sorry.
breeders are working on it, so that's nice. Costa's saying always happy with your answers.
Oh, bless you, darling.
Yeah.
Hope you're well.
Yeah.
His aunt was in Mamma Mia. I'm
Okay.
full of useless information.
Florists sell emotions and feelings, not just flowers. That's totally true. And the funny thing is, we're selling emotions and feelings. We can't put a price on emotions and feelings. Why are we trying to be the cheapest with the flowers all the time? Why are we looking for the last penny? I don't know.
How do you mean? With people selling them too cheap?
Yeah. Or try to buy them too cheap because there's a reason some flowers are more expensive, or the same flowers is a little bit more expensive than another one, because it's quality.
Yeah.
And
that I'm going to fling straight back at the big five. The supermarkets. I mean, we have a higher penetration of sales in supermarkets than any other country. And they are currently. Oh, mother! Sorry, mother. I knew it was a female relative. In the UK, we have 70% of our sales go through supermarkets, the big five, which is, and we did a grant, and it would. One of the really sad things that this has shown is how the industry is so disconnected, and B, how little good quality data exists.
Yeah.
And so and I'm not a mathematician, but I spend a lot of time on my calculator. And interestingly, the whole market has grown in the UK. And there was a point at which, because it used to be that florists had 90% of it. So, to now go down to circa 25 is pretty painful. But the whole market has absolutely boomed because of the supermarket. So, there is good and bad in it.
Yeah.
But I don't know how the digital disruptors like Bloom and Wild, Freddy's Flowers, people like that. Because you have BloomX, Bloom
Bloom on.
How much market share have they taken?
To be honest, I've got no idea.
See, this is a problem.
Yeah. Is it a problem or is it a chance also for other people? I mean, Bloemon created a style of bouquet that a lot of florists are now copying. And a lot of people went into a flower shop and said, I want a Bloemon bouquet.
Yeah, then that's great, and then that helps. I think that, I mean, one of the things that we've seen a lot of florists do is letterbox flowers.
Yeah.
And that is picking directly up from Bloom and Wild and copying them. And anybody can buy letterbox boxes.
The thing is, we do shows also in the UK, and that's John is doing most of those shows. One of the things I see with a lot of florists, they're actually copying the bouquets that are in the supermarket. And I don't like to use the phrase "think outside the box," but in this particular case, you really should think outside the box. You know the size of the box in which the bouquets for the supermarket gets delivered. If you make something that doesn't fit in the box, the supermarket will not copy you. You've got something totally different than a supermarket, so you can stand out of the crowd, ask hopefully some bit more money for it. We need to differentiate. Why are people buying in the supermarket? Probably because it's a good price or value for money. Make something special.
And convenience. And a lot of this is convenience. You go in, you buy your milk, your butter. Oh, I have a bunch of flowers.
Yeah.
So.
But let's hope that now that people are stuck inside, that they want to go outside again and want to go into town and into the city and go to the local florist, go to the local butcher and things like that.
Well, I mean, I do hope that will be a benefit of this. One can only hope.
Yeah.
I am absolutely arrangements. Yes, yeah. I mean, I do. I am very much into arrangements. You use less material, so your cost per square inch is, you get far more value and volume. And B, it is differentiation from what a supermarket can do.
Yeah.
But it does, a lot of florists don't want to do arrangements.
Yeah, but if you don't survive that way, that's your choice, and that's what you should think about right now. Do I want to stay a florist and make arrangements, or do I want to compete with the supermarket and maybe will not be or not survive?
Like I say, I think there's going to be some tough decisions to make.
Yeah.
I mean, because funnily enough, so we were talking about this the other day with someone, and hand tides are now viewed as being old-fashioned.
Yeah.
Because they've been around. They've been around since, the mid-80s, and that's actually very old.
Yeah.
And so, for young people, so for my children's, my daughter's age group, and really up to sort of 30, that was what your mother had, a hand tide. So almost one has to say, well, should we be making? And I mean, I know some of my readers who I recognise will go, oh no, she's going to bang on about living cards or flat pack bouquets. But almost we have to go back to the 60s and 70s to introduce ideas, because the current buying generation don't remember them, don't know.
No, but
I'm sorry. It is, hand tides are a bit passé to a lot of people.
Yeah, And it's quite easy. We don't need to come up with new ideas. We just look back at the 60s. The fashion industry is doing the same. They're just looking back what was popular then. Let's
Yeah.
reinvent it.
But with a modern twist. It's sorry, darling. You said that you know. I know. I just absolutely. I have been the living card queen for just years, and because I've always said they're going to make a comeback, and everyone
Yeah.
has absolutely poo-pooed me and said, "Oh no, Gary, we can't possibly do those." And so I was delighted when I saw at Christmas an awful lot of living cards being made, and
Yeah.
now there is the envelope. So it's sort of, it looks like an envelope, and you stick your flowers in it, and it's an envelope. But you know, there is a company that does living cards by mail,
Yeah.
and they sell zillions of them. And I actually had one delivered. I had one delivered, and it was basically one stem of spray carnation
Yeah.
chopped down, and that was the main focal flower. You know, sort of like what, 20 cents.
Yeah, but you know it. You know what it costs. But how should a normal consumer react on it when they get it?
They love them. They absolutely love them. This company sells masses of these things. I mean, to me, it's also like, ugh. But
Dried flowers came back in fashion as well. I
sorry.
mean, dried flowers.
Oh,
They
tea.
came.
Yeah.
Yeah.
One of our good florist guide members is called Happy Blossoms, the Happy Blossoms, and they have specialised in, and you know, they're not operational fresh flower wise at the moment, but they have a range called Baked Blooms,
Yeah.
and they're all dried, but they are zingy colours. I mean, we are not talking dreary brown and red yuck. We are talking vibrant pinks and yellows and oranges, and they got picked up by the Guardian as being, you know, the most wonderful idea in the universe.
Yeah.
Um, and they are doing stormingly well with that.
You will get a good one. You see, when the lockdown is over, I'll make you a 5-star one.
Ah, you. What, 5-star living card? Is
Yeah,
it?
probably. Yeah, probably. Yeah.
I was going to say a living card from the Dorchester florist. Oh my God, that would be just so wonderful, so wonderful. It's because of course, people like Philip, who is head florist at the Dorchester in London,
Yeah.
nothing, because the hotel is shut down. You
Yeah.
know, and there is no hope. Sorry, Phil. That is not to be beastly, but you know, I think,
There's hope, but not now.
yeah, I mean, you know, it's gonna come back,
Yeah.
but just not straight away. And I think it is all about the um, understanding where everybody is in this chain. That, you know, this, what happens at high street level is totally dependent on actually probably what happened in the breeding fields of Danziger or Ball that I saw in October, um, and works its way through
Yeah.
the grower, etc. And you know, the industry is so interdependent.
Yeah.
3 months before the Dorchester opens, I had tea, darling, tea.
I think, yeah, but we see that in Holland, big events are cancelled until the 1st of September.
Yeah, I think we're going to be longer here. Also,
Yeah.
a big plug for Good Florist Good Florist event, because I have worked out that I can socially distance people. We have a very
Yeah.
big room. 10th and 11th of October, I'm aiming for.
Okay. Yeah.
No, no hugs.
No hugs this time.
No.
Okay. Then
Well,
I don't know if I will come on.
to be honest, what goes on outside and when I'm not looking fine. I'm not going to get too worried about it. But I am still hanging on to that date, just because it would be nice.
Of course.
Because I think Zoom is all very well, but there is nothing like actually being in the same room. Also, I did actually go and visit someone yesterday, and social distancing with gloves and masks.
Yeah, it's terrible.
And it wasn't my colour either.
That's even worse.
That's my outfit.
Yeah.
Gonna
That's
busy with
actually what you see a lot now, that the masks are in the same color as the outfit, or even they selling sweaters with the same fabric of of those things. So that's, people get creative as well.
I think so. Yes, it's all right. I'm looking at my notes to see if I've missed anything because I'm terribly conscious. We've gone on for ages.
Yeah, we said a half an hour, and it's almost an hour and a half. But
Have we got anyone still watching us?
yeah, it looks like it. People are still reacting. So
Well, that's good. It's also I'm being quite sorry because my poor husband's downstairs watching this, and he's going to be going, "Oh, wifely, please."
but maybe he hit the mute button, so he doesn't hear you. He's just looking.
How very dare he?
Rachel's still here, so
Oh, that's good. Well done, Rachel. Go, girl.
yeah. I will check my. I think we should have this.
I think a lot of people did share the pictures, sympathy with the growers and hard work with. Yeah, no, I mean, I'm sure that people did share it for very good reasons, all those
Yeah, of course.
pictures. It was just consequences of events weren't, and understandably, because I mean, I remember, when market crashed, I don't think anybody was thinking consequences of actions. We were just watching a car crash happen.
Yeah.
But I think to share it anymore would be wrong. We now have to, as an industry worldwide, we now need to get very positive messages out. I think that I do like the Flower Council of Holland campaign, Let Bloom Hope, Let Hope Bloom. I don't know if it's going to be enough, and I know that they are in trouble. Well, not trouble, but they announced. Oh, sorry, I forgot to send you that release. But anyway, they announced 2 days ago that their budget has been slashed from something like 16 million to 8.
Yep.
A 50% reduction in what is probably the world's biggest advertiser of flowers. That is indicative of just how serious this has been to our sector.
Yeah, and don't forget, it's not the first time. In the last 10 years, it happened already a few times that they had to go down in budget.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, when you remember the good old days of, press trips and, Flower Council doing road shows, and, it is indicative that the sector is, hurting because they are funded by the growers and the auction and all the rest of it. So if it's not there, they don't get it.
That's actually why we started Flower Circus, or one of the reasons we started Flower Circus, to go back with the road shows again, because people liked it. We do it a little bit of a different way, but people need it as well. They need to get inspired, need to see new flowers, especially when they're buying from web shops, things like that. They don't see the new things, like you said, the normal white roses they order every week, but the new things, the specialities, and what to do with it. Yeah, that's I can't say it can only be done with shows, but it's one of the ways of showing people how to work with flowers in a new way.
I think so. I mean, I know lots of people are saying, oh, online is going to take over. There will never, in when you're dealing with a product that you want to put your nose to, where you want to go, and touch and stroke. Because I don't know about you, but I do stroke flowers. It's also like, I touch flowers.
Yeah.
I don't think we are not a sector that can rely totally on digital. We can do very well with digital, and we must do better with digital. And
We should.
but it will never replace it completely.
The funny thing is what Julia, who was going to talk next week about social media, said directly. We've got great content because we've got flowers. It looks attractive. You put a picture of flowers on Facebook and everybody reacts. If you have an insurance company, they are fighting for good content. So we already got the good content. Now we just need to know how to use it.
Yeah, yeah. And sorry, I've just managed to. Sorry. It's Meryl's joined. And Cookie. Hello, Cookie. I don't know Cookie. It has to be said, but he's got a very nice speedboat as his cover shot on Facebook.
Okay.
Well, I looked him up. I looked him up because I thought, well, who is Cookie?
Yeah.
I don't know.
Okay.
Do you get any questions, or have they just allowed us to waffle on quite happily?
No, I think we've done all the questions.
Good.
I don't have any questions. We can talk, of course, for many more hours, but let's not bother Facebook.
I was going to say, let's not push our luck.
Yeah.
I want to keep my audience excited.
Yeah.
More and thinking, yeah, that was okay.
Yeah.
Might do these again now.
So if you're not subscribed to the newsletter of the Florist, please do so with all the updates and everything. I listened intently to waffling.
Who's that? Glad it could help. What's Costa saying? Orders in. Oh no.
But there was a previous question.
Oh, because they go up that way.
Yeah.
I'm reading them down.
Okay, so
I've got them the other way around.
Yeah, but no. We managed to do all the questions. So yeah, thank you very much for joining the Flower Circus Talks.
No, my pleasure. It's been an absolute joy. Thank you for forcing my hand and making me do this.
Yeah, and please continue with making pictures of London.
I will.
Hopefully the weather is good enough to do so.
Oh yeah, we've got a good weekend coming up, and I've done my journey planner for my next one.
Yeah. Okay.
Oh, thank you, Claire. Really appreciate that.
Yeah.
Claire is one of my fave people. She has given me a metaphorical kick up the bums on more than one occasion. Girls Mean Business. I highly recommend her to everybody.
Yeah, they're also on your website, right? On the website of the Florist.
Yeah, there's a story. There's a story from her. She's done some columns for me, and yeah, she is one that I really recommend.
Okay, that's good to know. Okay, thank you again. Thank you everybody for watching, and I hope to see you soon. Monday we've got Piet van Kampen from the Gooier International. He's going to baptize a tulip this Saturday, tomorrow actually. So we're going to have some footage of that as well. So I hope to see you on Monday. Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.